Hello everyone, Tristan here. Today, I'm gonna do something special for you guys. I'm gonna revisit one of GWR Studios' Goof videos and found all the mistakes I spotted in Thomas in the trucks, or trouble for Thomas in the US. In this video, I'm gonna point out all the mistakes that GWR pointed out and some of the goofs that he probably missed. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so once the episode starts, we can see that Thomas is complaining to the other engines because he's bored of shunning coaches.
I'm tired of pushing coaches. I want to see the world.
This causes the other engines to become extremely annoyed with him. And here's where I spotted the first goof. Just like what GWR notices in the beginning of the scene, you notice that Thomas is right between Gordon and Henry, but a little bit later, we can see that Henry is now on the opposite side of the sheds. In fact, it seems like all the engines must be rearranged in later shots. Edward is where James used to be, Henry is where Edward used to be, and now Thomas is in the middle of the shed.
But one night, Edward came to the shed. He was a kind little engine and felt sorry for Thomas.
The narrator said that Edward was feeling sorry for Thomas, but how can this be if Edward was annoyed in the previous scene? Maybe this has to be a goof. But anyways, he offers Thomas his train of trucks and says that he'll push Thomas's coaches for the day. Thomas agreed to this and is very excited. And here comes another goof that GWR Studios missed. We notice that Thomas's eyes are a little bit wonky. He then steams away to get some trucks. Now before Thomas had left the sheds, Edward made sure to warn Thomas that the troublesome trucks can be very difficult to work with, but Thomas was too excited to listen. Hang on a second, let's back up for a minute, shall we? Now I know GWR Studios pointed out that this is not a goof, but considering that he pointed out that the troublesome trucks have mouths, but I confirmed this to be a goof, because it seems like its mouth is falling out. Oh, and another thing, what happened to Nappert Station? It was just there a second ago. But that's not the only goof I saw. These rails are not connected with the buffers. They apparently come to an end. The shunter fastened the coupling. As soon as the signal dropped, Thomas was ready. Now here comes a really bad goof, and I bet you already know about this one.
The conductor blew his whistle.
Wait, what? This guy doesn't have a whistle. All he has is this little green flag in his hand. This is a terrible goof. And now that I'm looking at this scene, Nappert Station is gone again.
The conductor blew his
non-existent whistle,
beep, beep, answered Thomas and started off.
but the trucks weren't ready yet.
Wait, Thomas, wait!
Thomas is just too stubborn. He doesn't want to wait, so he decides to pull the trucks, even though they say they're not ready yet. Along the journey, Thomas continues to go faster and faster. This makes the trucks cross.
Whoosh!
Thomas feels pretty good about himself, and he finally gets to pull some trucks, and he doesn't have to shunt those silly coaches. And here comes another goof. When Thomas comes out of Henry's tunnel, we can see the truck jumping up into the air. But that's not the only goof I saw. When Thomas continues on his journey, we can see that none of the troublesome trucks have their faces. And we know it's not on the other side because he's going in the forward direction. Now get ready for some really bad goops. In the very next scene, we can see Thomas is flying through Ellsworth Station like crazy. In those 2 seconds of footage, you just saw 3 goops. Let's go back and I'll point them out to you. Okay, first of all, I don't care how fast they say Thomas was going. Look how slow he is in the previous scene. If you were going this fast, I say he's going pretty much 100 miles per hour. And for the second goof, look at the top right corner of the screen. You might notice something.
Hurry, hurry, called Thomas.
Yep, that's correct. For a brief second when Thomas flies by, John Edwell's hand can be seen on the top right corner of the screen, grabbing the footbridge to prevent the camera from hitting it. And for the third group, look at the left side of the screen. We can see that the tracks apparently come to a dead end on the edge of the set. And here comes yet another goof. As we cut to another shot of Thomas, we can see that his headlamp is coming loose. But not only that, we can see the close-up of the troublesome truck behind Thomas, but appears to be facing backwards, and the rest of the train is gone. Now here comes one of the worst goofs that GWR Studios had ever spotted in a Thomas episode. And I bet you already know what it is right now.
Look out for the train.
Yep, that's right. At one point when Thomas is pumping up Gordon's Hill, we could hear somebody saying, "Look out for the train."
Look out for the train.
No shit, Sherlock!
Oh, and thanks to Useful Edward Fan for pointing this out in his good video of this episode. On early American Home video releases, when he pops up the hill, a technician voice is heard saying that line, and the music and the sound comes to a complete stop once they are briefly muted as the technician says it.
Look Look out for the train.
But anyways, Thomas struggles to go up Gordon's hill. Thomas's driver warns him that they're getting close to the top, so he needs to prepare himself.
Steady now, steady, warned the driver.
But it actually kind of seems like Thomas's driver and fireman are not really moving steadily, as if Thomas is kind of shaking a little bit. But that's not the only goof I noticed. If you look on the side of Thomas, we can see a small black chip on the side of him. And last but not least, the side of Thomas's boiler is about to be peeling away. As soon as they reach the top of the hill, the driver began to put on the brakes. But the trucks don't want to stop, they wanted to keep going.
Go on, go on.
Before Thomas has even a chance to react, the troublesome trucks are pushing him as fast as they can.
Stop pushing, he hissed.
But the cars didn't care, they were mad at Thomas for the way he treated them earlier. Oh, look at this! The truck that was behind Thomas was flipped again, and the train is gone again. So it turns out things are looking bad for Thomas. You gotta be kidding me. Why is the signal all clear? I think we all know what's about to happen.
Oh dear, what shall I do? Cried Thomas. They rattled straight through and swerved into the goods yard.
Hold on, let's play that again.
They rattled straight through and swerved into the goods yard. Goods yard. Goods yard.
The narrator said that they're swerving into the goods yard, but apparently this is a siding from Maron Station.
Thomas shut his eyes. I must stop.
Thomas's bumper beams are black when they should be red. Also, he has a different looking brake pipe. Did you guys see that? When Thomas hits the bumpers in the siding, there's a second track next to the same truck close up because they're using the same footage again.
When he opened his eyes,
they appeared pretty wonky. Also, his face is a little bit crooked. Shortly after the incident, the Fat Controller has a talk with Thomas. The Fat Controller tells him that he has a lot to learn about trucks. The Fat Controller is not discouraging Thomas from pulling trucks in the future, but he wants Thomas to get more familiar with the trucks so that way this never happens again.
Then you'll be a really useful engine.
Then Thomas sadly puffs away. But that's not the end of the Goofs. If you look closely in the background, you'll see that the tracks end. And now that I think about it, there's actually one more goof in the scene that I forgot to point out. Earlier in the episode, we see a few trucks and one brake van standing by Maron Station. But in the very last scene, we can see that the brake van has mysteriously disappeared. Now don't go just yet, I have one more goof to show you. Throughout this whole episode, when Thomas is pulling the trucks, they change their position rapidly. The number of trucks also change, such as when Thomas leaves Knapford, he has 3 vans. However, when he goes through Henry's tunnel, he has 2 vans for the rest of the episode. Also, the front GWR van changes into a Unity van as Thomas comes out of Henry's tunnel. Alright you guys, so those are all the goofs that GWR Studios and everyone else missed and Thomas and the Trucks. I can't believe this episode had so many goofs in it, and I can't believe how bad some of them were. But having that said, if you spotted a goof that I didn't point out, leave me a comment below and let me know. Thanks for watching everybody. This is Tristan Lanier, signing out.